So in the Restoration 18th century, there are going to be a lot of ideals and ideas and changes to literature and how it's produced and what's being produced. So let's just go ahead and dive straight into those. So there are some overall changes we're going to see. There's going to be big divisions in the nation that are exposed. However, people are willing to have compromise. It's not quite there, but there's that spirit of compromise that's growing. And specifically, we're also going to give up the idea of a Christian commonwealth. It's no longer believed that, like, yeah, we could all exist in our different facts and denominations and coexist with harmony. So that idea is going to be given up, and it's just going to continue to grow from there. Charles II, when he returns, leads this idea of what aristocratic culture should look like. He wanted it to focus on pleasure before anything else. So this is going to be the establishment and development of the libertine and the rake. So a man who just kind of runs through the ladies and flirts everywhere. But as long as he redeems himself by getting married in the end, we're going to be a little bit more forgiving, supposedly, in society of it. However, because he's focusing on pleasure, he's going to help refine the arts, and he's going to bring in immigrants to share arts from different cultures. He's going to have a little of that French influence, and it means that the playhouses finally reopen after being shut down during the Civil War. In 1662, we have the establishment of the Royal Society of London for the improving of natural knowledge. Now, this is not going to be science as we know science today. However, all levels of society are interested in the idea of natural knowledge and what does that work, how does that work, and it also pushes colonization similarly to how economics pushes colonization. So we want to know about different things and wonders of the world, so we're going to colonize it to discover it and learn about it, just like we're colonizing some for money and economic motivation. There is a new fascination in the material world. So how does the material world work and what is it like? And we also are going to see some new denominations of Christianity arising during this period. So one of the most important things that happens is this rejection of dogmatism. Dogmatism was just the long-term ideas that we're just going to believe, and it can no longer be trusted. It's the tendency to lay down principles as absolutes without considering evidence of others' opinions. And we don't trust that anymore. There's no absolute truth necessarily. We have to be able to look at others' opinions and evidence. And skepticism is going to be embraced across all realms of culture. We do recognize that the overconfidence in human reasoning is catastrophic and can bring about some horrible things. So remember in Elizabethan times, we're human reasoning is awesome and we love humans and humanism, while kind of having the opposite pendulum swing, recognizing that's quite not true. Some of this is connecting to faith, in that some writers will see the distrust of human capacities is why we just need to accept Christianity and accept the mysteries of Christianity as they are. Just don't question it, because humans can't reason it, so they could never figure out why they are what they are. It also is going to lead to new theories, new projects, exploration of great ideas, which is going to be pretty cool. Not everyone is going to be comfortable with the idea of the Epicurean doctrine, or the idea that the universe exists in tiny atoms and voids. However, because that comes out and it's a topic of discussion, it does push people to observe the world with focused in detail, which helps with Francis Bacon's experiments that he had been doing in the push of inductive reason. So we're not quite comfortable with the idea that we're all made up of tiny atoms, but it is going to push forward this scientific reasoning. So we also have the development of different zones and different the ideas of empiricism. So we're going to have 3 zones of knowledge. You're going to have natural history, which is the collection and description and facts of nature. You're going to have natural philosophy, so studying the causes of what happens in nature, and natural religion, so study of nature as a book written by God. These natural laws push to the idea that the universe was ordered in its creation. So God had a hand at designing, but it also means that religious tenets are available to all rational beings who can access them. It also leads to the rise in deism, which is that fact that religion is not restricted to mystery or truth. You can rely on your reason alone, which is going to have some conflict with Christianity, because remember, like, there's some things in Christianity that, like, you just have to accept as fact, whereas deism is like, no, like, religion should be accessible through reasoning as well. You also have empiricism become the dominant intellectual attitude. So empiricism is the idea that knowledge comes primarily from sensory experiences. And this is also going to be part of England's legacy and lasting impact on philosophy at the world level. So even if conclusions seem shocking, they still somehow are reassuring and support to prior knowledge. We can explain and connect it back. So Locke does say in your Norton introduction that our business here is not to know all things, but those which concern our conduct, which becomes the prevailing attitude of the period. We don't have to know everything, but anything that connects to our conduct and our state of being, like that, we do need to know. However, modern feminism, as we know it today, is beginning, and that completely rejects the Lockean attitude, because they want to establish women's educational institutions and end how, like, a husband can be tyrannical over their wives and abuse their power. So the fact that, like, knowledge is from sensory experiences is being rejected, because if that's true, then women can stay as they are, versus knowledge in other realms shows that women can continue to grow. Mary Estelle does lead this charge at first. However, in a bit of a contradiction, she embraces the Tory idea of obedience to church and obedience to royal authority, because she doesn't want a complete revolution. There's this fear that, like, if we discard everything, then if we go completely revolutionary, then we can't make the changes. So she wants to have a slow step towards change, not a huge. Other feminists are going to say that education is key to the enrichment of society, and they're going to push for education in that realm. So, like, by educating women, you enrich society. But people are also just think that the world is growing increasingly diverse. There's all types of people, all types of cultures. So why wouldn't we let women join in that discussion? Oh, wrong way. Sorry, guys. Here we go. This is also a rise of a sentimental society, so, especially in terms of social conduct. So you need to act on your instinct instead of moral codes. So you can, whatever brings you joy, sorrow, having that sentimental value, not just like rigid codes. So people start finding pleasure in charitable acts, which means we have several things happen. Jails get improved. They provide relief for imprisoned debtors. They found hospitals. They make homes for prostitutes. And eventually this is going to lead to the abolition of the slave trade. So we are being sympathetic to our peers and what they're experiencing, not just focusing on ourselves. And this is going to really impact later writings, and the Romantic period follows this, and they completely reject this oversensitive, over-emotional kind of pull, which we can kind of see why, because this could lead a little bit too far into emotions versus, like, yes, be sympathetic, but still have some control. Like, this can get a little out of control. We also are really favoring this idea of the individual. So we think being an individual is important, and we're going to focus in on that. So we're going to start writing diaries and letters, and we're going to keep them. Novels develop, and they help reflect the rise of interest and importance of a private life and individual life. It also lets people focus on rights and not tradition. So, like, if it's important to recognize the individual, then we need to think about individual rights, not just traditions and sticking with traditions. And this is where our modern individual and the idea of what that means is going to start. So this is a period where there's a lot of beginnings to modern ideas, and it's just going to keep quickly rolling down from there. So in literature, there's a lot of changes as well. And I'm going to put that in a separate video. So this time you'll have 3 videos just because, like I said, there's a lot happening this period and there's no way for us to cover it all at once. But I want to make sure that we have a time to talk about it and get a good introduction to it.